MSL apathetic intro music. Hey, you guys want pizza? What kind of pizza you want? Okay. Yeah, whatever. We're moving on to C versus Bisu, or Sisu, as the merger goes. On Circuit Breaker again. Yes, that's the way MSL works. You got that double map structure in the third and fourth games, except down at the 5 o'clock position in white is C. That means down at the 8 o'clock position in whatever is Bisu. Both these guys are the losers of the first 2 games, so they're playing the losers match. But the winner of the losers match will get a chance in the final match to turn things around and move out of the group. Only 2 players can move out of a group of 4 into the round of 16. So Bisu's going to try his best to work his way back up. The winner of this will face Flash, who was the loser of the last game. So either we're going to see a TVT or we're going to see a rematch of Bisu versus Flash. Either way, it's going to be spectacularly epic. So I'm not going to complain either way. And it's cool to see another game played on Circuit Breaker. I'll see the different races test each other in rapid succession. But yes, MSL yet again. I really do wish that the OSL was going on right now so I could cast that. It's been a long time, man, since I casted an OSL game. Very long time. But it's good to hear that the OSL is coming. For a while, everyone was worried, thinking the MSL was shutting down or something like that. No, that's not going to happen for a while. It will eventually happen because all things in nature eventually break down. Yes, you're all going to die. This is Nuke the Stars, reminding everyone of their mortality. As I always do. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I don't know if you heard, but yes, my pet tarantula, the beloved Muffin, is now a corpse. Poor little Muffin. He was getting old though. Male tarantulas don't actually live that long. I was kind of kidding myself. I know in my video where I showed off Muffin and actually handled him on camera for the first time, I said that he was probably reaching middle age, and I hoped that he would live 10 years, because that's like the absolute max age for a male tarantula. So I was thinking, obviously, he's going to live the full 10 years. No, just 6. Yep, he was getting old, and eventually male tarantulas, they just stop eating. They figure that it's more important to try to look for a female than to eat. Yes, even in the tarantula realm, the females will completely doom you, man. But the byline coming up for Bisu and his little natural expansion. And it will be interesting, as I said, to see another game on this map. By the way, going back to the tarantula thing, my tarantula is dead, and I was thinking of getting another one, but I thought it might be cool to have my viewers pick out what kind of tarantula I pick. I'm probably going to have a Nuke night devoted to this, coming up with options of tarantulas, because I want to go for either a more colorful tarantula, a very colorful one, or a big one, like a Kako golden knee or something like that. It gets like 8 inches long. Or a green bottle blue who gets like this green legs, blue carapace, and just orange on the rest of them. It's just spectacular to see. But either way, yes, I'll have my viewers help me decide in a future Nuke at Night, I think. Okay, from tarantulas to StarCraft and back to StarCraft again after tarantulas. But you see the Dragoon, which my ex-girlfriend used to call Muffin, which is my tarantula. He said, "Oh, those are muffins." And yes, we used to play StarCraft together. Ah, memories. I remember building the bunker outside of her natural expansion to protect her. That's what boyfriends are for. But, yeah, whatever. I won't go into that crap right now. Freaking ex-girlfriend. But anyways, it looks like C has prepared his natural expansion now, as Bisu is getting his Dragoon range spinning to pressure the front. This map is not like Monte Cristo, as you saw earlier. The Dragoons don't have to worry about that high ground advantage of the Terran player defending their natural expansion. He'll be able to go over there. Everyone's on the low ground, so he can attack the front and get C to pull some SCVs off the line to repair that. always an advantage for a Protoss player, always a good thing for a Protoss player to do, to pressure that natural expansion with ranged Dragoons. So that's exactly what Bisu is going to try to do soon. Oh, got me a little bit too close. Bisu kind of didn't pay attention to his Dragoons there for a second, but he will have his Nexus coming up soon. Getting that natural expansion up soon is going to be quite a bit later than C's. C will have a stronger economy, I think. But there is Bisu putting the pressure at the front. With only 2 Dragoons right now, though, he's got to wait for a couple more reinforcements before he really puts on the pressure on C. Has those 2, and I think the 3rd Dragoon is on the way. I think it's snaking up from the 6 o'clock position, working its way over there. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure what that unit is moving around. Might just be a scout for Bisu, actually. But he does have those 2 Dragoons to keep C's attention at the front, keep him repairing, and the robotics facility on the way for Bisu now. And he's going to build another Nexus, going triple Nexus right out of the gate. So he's going to have a very strong economy. And this is actually the best thing he could have done against this build from C, because C did get a pretty early command center going, strong economy going, but 2 extra Dragoons at the front for Bisu to get within range of that bunker, and now C is kind of in trouble, and this is the point where the tank pops out and the Protoss player will try to snipe the tank if they can, which has happened quite a bit in the past, and a couple of games I've commentated too. But the tank's going to try to get in here, but actually I think that C is going to wait on the siege range. I think that he's going to wait on that upgrade instead of trying to push his luck and have that tank sniped, which would be extremely lethal to his type of build. But now Bisu almost taking 2 tank shots, but does not take that second one. Barely bypasses it by running out of there. He has his 5th Dragoon outside the front now, but I think he will go home with those Dragoons to play much more defensively, keep away the vulture harassment, which will be very important actually, since he just took one of his 3rd base is an outside base. It's going to be tough to defend against that kind of vulture harassment if C does go for that, which I'm sure he will. Very economically good to go for vulture harassment, since they don't cost a lot, and you can end up taking down a lot of probes if you're lucky. Alright, a lot of gateways for Bisu. He's transferring some probes over to that natural expansion a bit. Actually, that's going to be transferred to his 3rd base, since he already has some probes at his natural expansion. Alright, let's see what C goes for next. Oh, God. But I see 1 Goliath. 4C just kind of hanging out there. Might be waiting on that observer, actually. The observer going to sneak inside the main and check out what C is up to. Not see what C is up to. That would create another CC. Oh, God. Yes. Citadel of Adun for Bisu, which is not rhyme with C. And he's preparing a little bit more at his kind of out there exposed 3rd base. He's building some pylons around to keep out the vulture harassment, just trying to build a pylon wall, get that going. But now C finds the observer, snipes it, manages to scan and take that out. So Bisu will be a little bit in the dark, but I think he spotted most of C's buildings before that observer went down. Not to mention he already has 2 more observers around the map to make it easier to get the scout on the mines or whatever that should be coming his way. But now Bisu is working on taking his 4th base, going to try to take that 9 o'clock. But now that C knows about that, he sees the pylon that was over there. He's going to think to himself, we might be going for another base soon. I should probably move out, try to stop him from doing that. And since that base over there, the 9 o'clock, is a sunken inside of that location, it's very hard to get to with reinforcement. Bisu will have a tough time getting to it with reinforcement Protoss troops. C should probably go for that one first, since he'll be able to position himself on the high ground outside of that base and take it down pretty easily. And Bisu's job will be to hover around that base, since it is the most vulnerable at this point. But okay, let's see what C does. CC's. Man, every time I say that, I get hungry for CC's pizza, even though I know it's not that great of a pizza. It costs like $1. It's like $3 for their whole buffet. But anyways, getting rid of the pizza discussion for a while, there is some vulture harassment at that 3rd base from Bisu. And Bisu has already plopped down his Nexus at the 9 o'clock position. I see that over there, getting ready to warp in. So he's going heavily macro-focused game, and has some nice blocking with pylon walls around his important bases. The Arbiter Tribunal for Bisu, going straight into Arbiters. And now it seems that C is building his third base at the inside. The inside natural expansion. I guess they can call it the second natural expansion since it's so close to the main. But now he has that going. Well, of course, that is on the low ground, so Bisu could go for a nice attack there with Zealots at the front speedlots. Get that going. Another pylon wall at that 9 o'clock base, and Bisu already has that running. So expect to see him expand again soon to support all the recalls he's going to be doing. He needs a lot of gateways to get troops out there to recall. And of course, at stasis, he'll need a lot of gateways pumping once he loses all of his zealots in a big attack with stasis. But okay, C building some factories around. There's, I think, the EMP being researched at the science facility from him, unless he wants to irradiate a zealot. I think he's going for EMP to fight back the arbiters. But there's a science vessel out front. Kind of in a vulnerable spot, but really not that vulnerable. He has some troops around it to protect it, but now the science vessel, Bisu roaming around with dragoons, though. He could do snipe as he did in another recent game that I casted where he sniped a science vessel. That was ridiculous, man. Yeah, Bisu's game sense is just... it shocks me sometimes how good he is at this game. But C, just hovering around... hasn't really done much with himself yet, aside from a little bit of vulture harassment. Expect him to do a lot more vulture harassment soon, since he's already building up a pretty big lot of vultures. Oh man, the mine drags into one dragoon. Luckily, Bisu didn't drag into his entire clump of dragoons. That would have been bad. But C running into more fire, manages to lose that vulture even though it was on the high ground. And it seems that Bisu is going to take his 5th base, and C does not like that. I don't like that one bit. He's going to come down from the 6 o'clock position unless he's going to try to take that for himself. He definitely could if he is going for the aggressive attack from this position. That would be a good place to expand as well, but he is going for this. Coming up from the low ground, a little bit risky, but he has positioned himself here with a lot of siege tanks. So he might be able to take this base down if Bisu isn't careful. Bisu, of course, is going to snake in with all of his troops. He has some reinforcements kind of flooding down the map. He'll be able to get on a nice pincer attack. He already has his Arbiter out, though, so the Arbiter could play a key factor here. The Zealots at the front. As long as he keeps the Zealots at the front, he might be able to do this. Mind drag, huge mind drag from Bisu. Oh, it gets rid of a lot of vultures. I think that was mostly into vultures, but still, that's a very effective mind drag. Gets rid of all those mines, too. That was not a very good mine field from C. He loses everything now, and now Bisu is going to be the aggressor, pushing his way towards C's base. Trying to do a little bit more mine dragging unsuccessfully. He doesn't really have any more zealots at the front, so he should probably back off. If he can't get in here, he's trying to actually do some dragoon mine drags, which are always a lot more difficult to do, but he manages to get one done. And backing off because he does not have the zealots that he needs to push through. You should always have zealots at the front when you're going for a big attack against a Terran. But Bisu decided that he wanted to take down as many troops as he could at the front first before he gets his reinforcement zealots out. But he already has some probes transferring over here. Luckily, he has some cannons warping in at that 5th base that he just put down, which just warped in, and now C is going to try to compete economically by building his 4th base and float that over probably to the 6 o'clock position, which will be very vulnerable, very, very vulnerable. As I see Bisu upgrading, getting some more upgrades, and he has his shuttle out as well to do even more Zealot bombs, which were so successful earlier. Man, some nice mind dragging from Bisu in this game so far. And C is just hovering around. Of course, C is going to try to sneak by and get some more vulture harassment done before he tries another wave of push like that again. And I know he was building his command center down near the 6 o'clock position, probably going to float that over. But as I said, that's going to be difficult to hold. Hopefully he'll be able to commit enough siege tanks to protecting that. Either way, it's going to be hard because Bisu is just hovering around that position. He'll be able to flood down with zealots and drag everything that he needs to get done. He notices that there's a lot of mines being placed at that position now, so he's probably going to get wise to the fact that C is building a base down there soon. And he'll be able to do something about it because now he has his reinforcement zealots, a lot of zealots at the front that he can use to drag into this. I think that was another mind drag or something for Bisu, but he's coming in for another attack, another wave of zealots, push the front. But he's got to get those up to the high ground, get those to the tanks. Got to get them to the tanks. Stasis, though, from Bisu, so he doesn't even have to focus on that. But he blocks himself in, actually, with the stasis. No, he doesn't. There's a small little area where the zealots can run through, and it's just enough to kill the rest of the tanks that were in that small little area. There's only a couple of tanks left for C at this location. Most of it is just vultures, but I'd say that was a successful attack from Bisu to take down all of those troops from C, just denying a big push, denying a big Terran ball coming his way. So C, once again, is going to have to rely on small little vulture attacks, well, actually a big vulture attack in this case, trying his best, but no, these vultures just cower in the face of the dragoons. I have returned, as they run away. He's returned, get out! But the 2 o'clock position, C is trying to build something up there, I think, maybe another base. But I don't even know if he saturated his 3 o'clock. I know he built the 3 o'clock, but that might not even be up yet because I don't see a lot of troops over at that position. But C trying to float down to the 6 o'clock is going to be easier said than done. Now that Bisu, he has his stasis, going to be working on recall soon, recall upgrade that he might not even need. I mean, he has such a large ground army. If he can get these tanks out of position well enough, of course, there is a very good tank line now from C down at the 6 o'clock. It's going to be extremely difficult to break, but of course, most of those tanks are on the low ground away from where he needs to be to protect his own bases. So Bisu might try to capitalize on this. I think he is coming in with zealots, dragging those zealots into the tanks. Working from a high ground advantage, Bisu, a lot of zealots at the front, and he gets a perfect stasis down here of all the tanks on the low ground, so he doesn't even have to worry about those as he makes his push, denies the 6 o'clock. C was never even able to land that, I don't think, and now Bisu working his way in to another base, but of course the tank defense will save C here, and Bisu is going to have to back off before he takes too many losses. He takes a lot of dragoon losses, but now the tank's going down at the 6 o'clock. And now C's army is dwindling. Things are not looking good for C because he just can't build the bases that he needs. Oh man, Bisu, look at all those gateways popping up for Bisu. He doesn't even have that 10 o'clock base running yet, but he's already preparing for that. Look at all these gateways. Bisu's going to be able to replenish his army so easily with this many gateways, and he has so many bases mining, he's going to be able to support it too. No matter how many gateways he puts down, he'll be able to lose his army and then instantly have another one out there to drag even more mines into poor C. But all right, let's check out what Bisu rather goes for next. He's going straight for this 3 o'clock base, which is completely unguarded. There are no tanks here whatsoever because C is forced to kind of pull all of his tanks down to the 6 o'clock position and guard that because it was very vulnerable. But that 3 o'clock base is pretty vulnerable too. Bisu decides to get out of there before he locks himself into that base, which is smart, but he does still have his Arbiter and 1 Dragoon to pick at that command center, try to get it down, which you might be able to do, but Bisu's Zealot takes all of the mines off of that high ground area. So now C is trying desperately to cling to that 6 o'clock base because that base will be very important for him. If he can't take this and hold that base, he's going to pretty much be doomed. But there's another stasis of a science vessel, I think. 2 science vessels get stasis by Bisu, and stasis is all over the place. All the clumps of tanks. So Bisu is going to survive with most of his troops at this location, and yeah, I think Bisu is going to take this down because he just has so many troops to apply pressure here. All the tanks are stasis and completely useless. They will pop back up eventually, but it's going to take a long time, and he's going to lose his 6 o'clock in the meantime. I'm surprised GG from C, deciding it was just too much to take, and that knocks C out of this group. This was the losers match, and if you lose the losers match, you're out. So now we're going to see a rematch of Bisu versus Flash for the final match and the group of death.